to media engagement for today, the 4th of February 2026. The first we are hosting at your ministry here, the Ministry of Information and Media, in the year of the Lord 2026, the year that we've all been waiting for, the year that is decision time Zambia. Today, we have, as government, a few things we'd like to ventilate upon in order to inform the nation where the nation is, and also pronounce ourselves on a few issues that we feel compelled to pronounce ourselves on, so that the ordinary citizens are not misled by those pandering to the gallery of propaganda and misinformation. So we will start by first updating the nation on issues to do with the resolutions of cabinet. The President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, called for the first cabinet meeting in the year 2026 on Monday, 2nd February 2026, at State House, to deliberate on policy and legislative matters aimed at facilitating continued development of the country for the benefit of the people. Cabinet made the following decisions. 1. Road Sector Investment Plan 3, Phase 3. Road SIP, Phase 3. Cabinet approved the Road Sector Investment Plan Phase 3 for implementation during the period 2025 to 2035 in order to provide a guiding framework for investments in the road sector and ensure that the road sector is capable of contributing to the economic and social development of our country. Over the years, government, in collaboration with its cooperating partners, has implemented road sector SIP 1 and 2 and other road development programs and projects which have resulted in improved road network in our country. Despite this, several key concerns have arisen that Road SIP 3 seeks to address, and these include increasing road sector debt, lack of sector investment plan, and lack of a coordinated medium to long-term sector implementation plan for the past 12 years. The Road SIP 3 will therefore ensure the road network is developed and maintained in a sustainable manner and capable of contributing to the economic and social development of our country. Issue number 2, Brand Zambia Initiative Project. Cabinet approved the establishment of the Brand Zambia Initiative project in order to create a cohesive and cross-sectoral framework that enhances global competitiveness, promotes national pride, and leverages Zambia's cultural, natural, and economic assets. Currently, Zambia's promotional efforts are dispersed across multiple agencies thereby leading to inconsistent messaging and limited global visibility. The Brand Zambia initiative will therefore address this gap by providing a coordinated cross-sectoral branding framework that aligns ministries, agencies, the private sector, civil society, and development partners under a single national initiative. 3. Legislation matters. A. The Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2026. Cabinet approved a bill entitled the Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2026 for publication and introduction in the Parliament during the current sitting. The object of this bill, among others, is to amend the Disaster Management Act so as to integrate risk management in the prevention and mitigation of a disaster, preparedness and response to a disaster, and post-management of a disaster. Currently, the Disaster Management Act Cap 132 provides response to disasters with limited emphasis on risk reduction, prevention, and resilience building. This has resulted in the creation of a reactive and an unsustainable approach in the prevention and mitigation of disasters in our country. Therefore, there is need to amend the Disaster Management Act, Cap 132, in order to adopt a framework that addresses disaster risk across all sectors of government. B. The Water Supply and Sanitation Services Bill 2026. Cabinet approved a bill entitled the Water Supply and Sanitation Services Bill 2026 for publication and introduction in Parliament during the current sitting. The objects of this bill are to continue the existence of the National Water Supply and Sanitation Council and redefine its functions, constitute the board of the council and provide for its functions, provide for the regulation of water supply and sanitation services, provide for the licensing of utilities, and promote access to sustainable water supply and sanitation services. Currently, the Water Supply and Sanitation Act Cap 180 does not adequately address the challenges in the water supply and sanitation sector in relation to climate change, rapid urban expansion, and evolving service delivery demands, thereby weakening the legal framework for regulation, compliance, and enforcement. The bill, once enacted, will establish a modern and robust legal framework to enhance service delivery, protect public health, strengthen regulatory oversight and service, and ensure sustainable management of water supply and sanitation services in the country. C. The Investment, Trade and Business Development of Premises and Operations of Business Regulations 2026. The Cabinet approved the Investment, Trade and Business Development of Premises and Operation of Business Regulations 2026 to be issued under the Investment, Trade and Business Development Act number 18 of 2022. Since the enactment of the Act in 2022, no new regulations have been issued to provide for the procedural framework on special economic zones, development and management required for better implementation of the Act. If the current Act is to be fully implemented, there is, therefore, need for new regulations to be issued in order to revoke the old regulations premised on the repealed Zambia Development Agency Act number 11 of 2006. This will ensure alignment of the regulations with current legal standards, national economic policies, and international best practices in zone development and management. Further, the regulations will streamline the establishment and operation of special economic zones, thereby attracting both domestic and foreign direct investment into priority sectors and promote industrialization, value addition, export promotion, and employment creation. D. Introduction of a permit system on sulfuric acid. The media will choose, I'll be skipping some so that you choose what you want to include. So I'll go to C. The National Heritage Conservation Commission Amendment Bill 2026, the National Museums Repeal Bill 2026, and the Heritage Regulations Bill 2026. Cabinet approved in principle to the introduction of these bills in Parliament in order to strengthen the governance, preservation, and management of natural and cultural heritage and provide for a regulatory framework in the preservation and management of movable and immovable heritage. The specific objectives of the bills are to provide for clear guidelines on governance and management of institutions involved in preserving and managing natural and cultural heritage, provide for the effective management and preservation of natural and cultural heritage, and provide for the registration of the Heritage Regulation. The National Heritage Conservation Commission Act and the National Museums Act are inadequate in dealing with effective management and preservation of natural and cultural heritage presently. There is, therefore, need to realign the responsibility over movable and immovable heritage and also provide for the regulation of the heritage subsector. F. The TOS, Tom Mutini Toll Plaza Regulation 2026. Cabinet also approved the issuance of a statutory instrument on Tom Mutini Plaza so as to operationalize the newly constructed toll plaza, the Tom Mutini Toll Plaza, on the Ndola Sakanya Mufulira Road under the public-private partnership. The commencement of operations at the toll plaza will improve transport efficiency by providing a faster and more reliable corridor, particularly supporting cross-border and port-related economic activities. I'll jump number 4. I'll go to 5. African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance. Cabinet approved the submission and official deposit of the first country report on the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance to the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in order to benchmark the country's democratic and human rights achievements as a basis upon which to improve and grow our democracy and democratic credentials. Zambia, as a member state of the African Union, AU, signed the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance on 31st January 2010 and subsequently ratified it on 31st May 2011. The Charter is a key continental legal instrument aimed at promoting democratic governance, constitutionalism, the rule of law, and credible electoral processes among AU member states. Submission of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance report is expected to enhance the country's ability to comply with the requirements of reporting on the Charter and also present the country with opportunities to reaffirm its commitments to upholding democracy and the provisions of the Charter. 6. Zambia's 8th periodic report on the implementation of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Cabinet approved the 8th National Report of the implementation of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, including the first periodic report on the Maputo Protocol and the initial report on the Kampala Convention, for the submission to the African Union Commission as per its state party requirements. Member states of the African Union that have ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights are required to periodically prepare and submit state party reports on the African Commission on the Human and People's Rights. Zambia ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on 10th January 1984 and is therefore obliged to comply with the Charter's reporting requirements. State parties are further required to adopt appropriate legislative, administrative, and judicial measures to give effect to these rights and to ensure access to effective remedies. Zambia is among the state parties scheduled to be reviewed by the African Commission at its forthcoming session. 7. Report of the second round National Risk Assessment, Money Laundering, Terrorism Financing and Proliferation Financing National Risk Assessment. In winding up deliberations for the day, Cabinet reflected on Zambia's finalization of the second round National Risk Assessment on Money Laundering, Terrorism Financing and Proliferation Financing National Risk Assessment, and that the report is ready for its publication and commencement of implementation of recommendations contained therein. The publication and circulation of the National Risk Assessment results will enable the private sector stakeholders to better understand the money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing risk in their own sectors, as well as other sectors they have dealings with. Further, this will allow the private sector to better assess the adequacy of their internal controls in mitigating the risks identified and to strengthen these controls where necessary. The general public at large will equally benefit from the greater awareness of the money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing risks in Zambia. Those were the resolutions and or decisions of Cabinet at its first Cabinet meeting of the year 2026. We now have a few issues that we would like to speak to that relate to our political circumstances as a country that hitherto I am obliged to respond to the same. Number one, the acting president of a faction of the Patriotic Front, Mr. Given Rubinda, has asserted that having free and fair elections under the New Dawn administration of President Hakainde Hichilema is a far-fetched dream. our response is as follows: that those statements by Honorable Given Lubinda, acting president of a PF faction, are unsubstantiated and therefore baseless and highly inappropriate. We therefore dismiss the same with the attendant contempt and condemnation, because this is political false alarm just a few months before we go to the general elections. We are perplexed to find that Honorable Given not too long ago addressed the nation to the effect that the Chawama parliamentary by-elections were free and fair. And just a few days later, he is now saying free and fair elections under New Dawn administration is a far-fetched dream. So many citizens are at sea to understand what he is trying to say. But then, we do understand that the opposition in their current state of chaos and disunity are now able to say anything today and tomorrow say something diametrically opposed to what they said yesterday, without any sense of realization that they are at cross purposes of what they are saying. We also do understand that some of these statements are being made as a way of conceding defeat ahead of the August presidential and general elections. We want to urge them. We want to urge them to be patient and go to the people. We want to urge them to go to the people and explain that what it is which they would like to get into power for. Because this far, and we are now just 2 to 3 months before the dissolution of Parliament, and therefore the campaigns for the elections for August 2026 will ensue in earnest. The opposition has not given the people of Zambia any substance as to the reason they would like to assume office. There is no known manifesto. There are no known issues that they've put on the table presenting a case, a compelling case why the citizens of this country should change a working government. So they will continue, therefore, to speak in the manner they are speaking all over the show. They should be understood to be a grouping that is preparing for imminent, heavy defeat in the August general elections, because President Hakainde Hichilema and his administration have delivered, starting with recovering the economy from -2% GDP growth rate, lifting the country from a de facto junk economic state that was failing to meet its international balance of payment obligations, attaining debt restructuring to give the economy fiscal headroom to be able to finance free education, expand CDF, retain meal allowances to students, clear off a catalogue of civil servants who had retired and not being paid, and investing in various sectors of the nation. Secondly, ensuring the application of the rule of law to the latter without discrimination, confronting and fighting corruption fairly but firmly. That results are now beginning to be seen, that those who initially were saying the fight against corruption is a hoax, today they have gone to the mountaintop now to claim political persecution. There will be, under the new Dawn administration, no political persecution guised as a fight against corruption, because this is a government founded on the rule of law and not on the wishes of men and women. And so, in applying the rule of law, President Hakainde Hichilema insists that there will be no sacred cow. And anybody who violates the law, you're on your own. These comments, therefore, I would attach to what Honorable Harry Calabar has said, that the extent of corruption under the new Dawn administration will only be known after they have left office. We want to indicate that President HH insists that the crusade against corruption is corruption of the past, corruption of the present, and any future corruption that may surface will be confronted robustly. And under the leadership of President HH, things speak for themselves, that those who have been involved in acts that are perceived to be at variance with the law, particularly to do with corruption, the law has visited them. We have issues to do with ZAMSA, for instance, that are under active legal inquiry. We also have other instances where those who are presently occupying public office and have violated the law, they have not been shielded. We challenge Honorable Calabar to name one person that President Hakainde Hichilema has shielded against investigation or prosecution against corruption. Name just one, not two. Otherwise, we will take it that Honorable Harry Calabar was blowing hot air, as he usually does. That is the reason why I urge the nation not to take Honorable Calabar serious at this moment. Because this is a person who resigned from PF citing rampant and massive corruption. And only a few years later, after his self-professed dream that he was going to be president of Zambia, because Bushiri had said so, and he didn't become, he now went into an unholy alliance to bed with the same party and person he was saying were corrupt. Now, Zambians have moved on. They are firm in understanding that to move the country forward, you need principled leaders, not those who jump and hop from one position to another, seeking for a comfort zone of their convenience. Zambians want a predictable, reliable, and trusted leadership, because that is where they can invest their trust, repose their confidence, and vote for, so that the country can move forward and not flip-flopping, looking for a comfort zone of convenience. No. So those who are still young politicians, like Honorable Harry Calabar, have an opportunity to do the right things. Otherwise, if they don't redeem themselves now, Zambians would trash them into the political bin that some of these political leaders you see still talking and making noise belong to. So, Let me also now respond to the issue which has been raised by a senior citizen, Akashambatu Ndikustalewanika, who has alleged that no presidential candidate has sufficient funds to finance their candidature into the 2026 general elections. We would like to indicate that whereas that may be true, particularly to many candidates, for the UPND candidate, President Hakainde Hichilema, he managed to galvanize resources within local means of well-wishers that marshaled the campaign for 2021 against a voluptuous government of PF that had a lot of money to line up people to dish out. And in 2026, President Hakainde Hichilema will continue to mobilize local resource to fund his candidature. Because as the nation has observed now, in the running of the UPND, there is a direct delinkage that UPND runs its affairs as a party, mobilizes its resources as a party to run party programs and affairs without extending a political hand into the national treasury. That now has well been understood by the citizens and well accepted. So, the emphasis here is that President Hakainde Hichilema will be funded by local Zambians who are also voters. And any assertion that President Hakainde Hichilema was funded by capitalists and or that his candidature in 2026 will be funded by capitalists is fallacious. It has no spine. These are statements that are made without any empirical evidence to put on the table. President Hakainde Hichilema has said he only respects and respects utmost as his sponsors the citizens of Zambia and not outside influence to determine the election. After all, money doesn't vote. It is citizens who vote. Because if money was a determinant, then PF should have won the 2021 general elections. Because they were in the citadel of unexplained money, which they were freely distributing, including banning. So money doesn't win an election. What wins an election on the part of a sitting government is performance. And we believe that the track record that President Hakainde Hichilema has put for himself has and will leave an indelible legacy on the governance of this country for many years to come. It has now been generally accepted that it is possible to have a president who can walk the talk, who can say what indeed he will do, one who inherited a country with a shared global plague, pandemic, COVID, and moved into cholera, a local situation in Zambia, and from there to the worst drought in living memory that left the economy paralyzed, and that many economies in the region are still in dire straits, but that our economy has picked up, it's right on its feet. The Kwacha is performing very well. the cost of living is going down. The Manufacturers Association yesterday, or the day before yesterday, announced reduction of prices of goods and services on market store shelves. So there can be no better story to tell about performance than this. Inflation hitting single digits, fuel prices stabilizing at rates that are generally, given the circumstances, affordable. This is where the country is. The exchange rate. You saw that the financial sector and the business sector are appreciating what is happening. And I would like to indicate here that this is a reflection of the effort that President HH has invested in resuscitating the economy of Zambia. There is no figmentation or concoction about the numbers that are reflecting the state of the economy of Zambia. So, if a vote is about speaking as to who you want to better your life, the answer has been given. And we'll be relying on the performance of President HH as we go into 2026 general elections to put a case before the people of Zambia for their determination, whether they would like to go back to Pangas, whether they would like to go back to gassing, whether they would like to go back to divisive language, whether they would like to go back to violence, whether they would like to go back to unsustainable economic policies of political expedience. The choice is in the hands of the people of Zambia. So, senior man, Mr. Kashamba Tombikusitalewanima, has a right to share his opinion, but given his stature, he should give correct information. Otherwise, it's uncustomary for us to begin to respond to senior citizens like him. But if they start giving misleading and false information, we'll have no choice to respond to them. And today I'm being modest and moderate, as I intend to be until the general election, unless circumstances are compelling. So let me come to the issue of the moment, which I feel that we needed to be on all fours as a people of Zambia. The now much talked about Kasama, UPND Kasama mayoral victory. As government, and also party in government, we would like to indicate that we have observed with growing concern the comments emanating out of the just ended Kasama by-elections, mayoral by-elections, where the ruling United Party for National Development emerged victorious. We have noted that some of the statements are not just misleading, but toxic, divisive, insidious and hideous, and fractures to national unity and cohesion, just a few months ahead of the general elections. We want to urge all political commentators or political leaders and those positioning themselves as political analysts, including the media, to be factual in sharing their views about what Kasama means to the people of Zambia, viz. The UPND victory. We want Kasama by-election results to add to the unity of the country and not to be used as a platform to promote national polarization. Let me be explicit, clear, in no uncertain terms here that the result of Kasama in understanding and analyzing it should not be viewed through any other lenses other than the desire of the people of Kasama to have voted for the candidate of their choice, number one, and number two, the desire of the people of Kasama to work with the government of the day because it is delivering, and number three, that an election result or competition should be viewed in terms of lenses of performance when it relates to a government in office. Unlike other lenses such as tribe, ethnicity, region, church affiliation, or any other such affiliation as may be misused to misconstrue the real situation playing out on the ground. The UPND victory in Kasama, in our view, is a reflection of confidence by the people of Kasama and Lukasha in President Hakainde Hichilema's leadership, and therefore is a valid stamp of solidarity and signal ahead of the 2026 general elections. That result shows that the people of Kasama appreciate that President Hakainde Hichilema has delivered on his key electoral promises, while understanding that for the outstanding works that are work in progress, President Hakainde Hichilema is equal to the task going forward as we bring back our economy on the right track for progress. Let me, therefore, specifically respond to comments that I have seen. The first are attributed to my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chilubi, Honorable Mlenga Fube, who said Kasama result is a lesson to Southerners that we should not vote on tribal lines. I have also seen a sustained attempt to twist facts through some tabloids, particularly one which is my own friends, the Must newspaper, carrying headlines that are divisive in nature, that are fractures to national unity, and attempting to project a misrepresented set of facts. Let me there give just a synopsis of the history of voting in Zambia since the reintroduction of multi-party democracy in Zambia, so that we understand as a nation the place of Kasama by election result, Chawama, and indeed any other we have held in this country. In 1991, when Zambia returned to multi-party democracy, the president who won, we all know, was President Frederick Chiluba, who swept across, then it was 9 provinces, he swept across 8 provinces, 100% almost in the 8 provinces, and lost Eastern Province, where the MMD could hardly get even a single member of parliament. And I think there were also some members of parliament out of Luapula for UNIP. I think UNIP retained then about 27 members of parliament. So, outside Eastern Province, in the Southern Province, there was no independent candidate who won. Every councillor, every mayor, every member of parliament, the presidential vote, just like Western Province, Northwestern, Copper Belt, Central, and Northern, 100% Frederick Chiluba. There is no one who stood up to say this region should teach another region how to vote. Because people voted according to what they wanted. But the point, which is a major point here, is that President Frederick Chiluba was voted across the 8 provinces, almost 100%. There was no question of tribe whatsoever. People were voting for change. That was the key issue, change. In 2011, when President Mweetwa won, he got votes from all the 9 provinces of this country, including winning in the provincial capital of the Western Province, Mongu, and also deep in the remote constituency of Nalolo. Those 2 seats went to Patriotic Front. And President Mweetwa and his Patriotic Front won in almost all the 10 provinces, not almost, in all the 9 provinces then, councillors and mayors. PF had interesting victories in a place like Dundumwezi, which is known to be a very rural constituency of the Southern Province. There was a PF councillor there. In Choma Central constituency, in a ward called Namuswa ward, up to 2021, PF had a council, and that ward is 100 kilometers from the CBD of Choma, on the borders with Lake Kariba, where Choma Central ends. And that gentleman ended up to be their parliamentary candidate in 2021. There is no one who stood up to say the people of Namuswa ward of Choma Central constituency have shown how we should vote. No, because those were their choices. In 2012, the Patriotic Front won a by-election in then what was just still administratively the provincial capital of the Southern Province, in Livingstone, through Lawrence Evans. There is no one who stood up to say the people of Livingstone, which is a provincial capital of Southern Province, have taught other regions how to vote. No one. Because it was normal. to vote the way you want and to vote for a candidate of your choice, a party of your choice. And after Lawrence Evans, of course, we had Honorable Matthews Jerry as Member of Parliament in a city which was previously the provincial headquarters of the Southern Province. So, I have never heard anyone or any headline on the mass newspaper, screaming headline, to say the people of Narolo have given an example that we should not vote on tribal line. It was never there. Because we understood that President Sata had given a compelling message to the people of Narolo and Omongu and the other places where PF won councillors or mayors, such that the people voted according to their wishes. How is it that today, when UPND has won Kasama, it should become a learning platform to say, can you learn from Kasama? Can you learn from Kasama? What is it that these who are the vuvuzelas of this message are trying to tell the rest of the nation? Because for us, as UPND and government, we understand clearly why we want Kasama. It's because we had a good candidate, we had a good campaign team, and we had a lot of support from the people who are in congruent agreement with the delivery and performance of President Hakainde Hichilema. Because a vote should be based on performance. So we want to urge those who are trying to lecture the citizens on the meaning of Kasama to stop it. We are sick and tired of these divisive attempts that when you have no formal message to challenge and critique the policies of government, you want to bring tribe as an issue that should sway the attention of the nation from critical issues that matter to national unity and national development. They were there in Kasama, expecting to win. And they had said they will win because of Chawama. They lost. And further, when you say Kasama has shown how to vote, not on tribal line, who went to contest in Kasama? Isn't it the local people of Kasama? It's just the local people of Kasama. I'm not aware of someone from Winilunga who went to contest in Kasama and won an election, so that you can say someone from Winilunga went to Kasama and won. So Kasama is now a litmus test to show how to vote. All the candidates were local. So where is this issue coming from? It is time we confronted that issues and tell these enemies of progress, tell these enemies of peace, tell these enemies of national unity that the nation has moved on. We are one Zambia, one nation, and one people. In fact, in case they are trying to place themselves in an oblivious, deliberately or ignorantly, a position that they don't know what is happening in Northern Province. In 2021, let me start with 2011. In 2011, the entire Northern Province, before Muchinga was dismembered, President Hakainde Hichilema got 2,900 votes. The entire Northern Province, which was about the biggest province in the country, 2,900 votes. Whereas in Choma Central constituency alone, because I was a candidate there as well, 2011, President Michael Sata, in Choma Central alone, got 5,400 votes. When you aggregate the province, it was thousands and thousands. Did anyone question that result? It's the will of the people. Zambians know what they want. And after so many interactions with the people of Kasama, delivery, President Hakainde Hichilema won the presidential vote for the northern province, whose provincial capital is Kasama. Because we understood what they told us as we were campaigning, to say, Amakwebo, Ashimonwa Monwa, Tashitwa, you have to go and interact with the people to be accepted with your message. And so, inroads have been made across the entire country such that today, every province and every part of the country is a stronghold of HH. I needed to make that clear, that for those who are trying to be surprised that UPND has won Kasama, please keep abreast to realities. In 2021, President Hakainde Hichilema won the presidential vote for Northern Province, whose provincial headquarters is Kasama. Now today when Kasama votes UPND, you are getting surprised. Have you forgotten the 2021 election results? Or you are trying to pretend so that you build a case around dividing a people? We think that it is our obligation, all of us, as citizens, to guard against these political machinations and political gymnastics and maneuvers being employed by the enemies of the people, calling themselves opposition, because they have failed to come up with alternative policies to challenge President Hakainde Hichilema. So now, they want everything sensationalized. Look at Chishimba Kamwe. Shamelessly going on air to tell the people of Northern Province to say, you people of Northern Province, you are being disrespected by UPND, Tabamitemwa. Who told him? Who told him that President HH doesn't like the people of Northern Province when CDF is being distributed equally to all the constituencies on the same page? Unlike when they themselves, the Chishimbakambwidis, were in government, they would get CDF money and share first to ministers and their backbench within PF, quietly and secretly, to take their constituencies. And for 10 years that PF were in government, we only received CDF 3 to 4 times maximum, 10 years period. Is there a constituency in Zambia today which can say they have not received CDF, yet another constituency belonging to the ruling party has received CDF? The answer is no. Love is not what someone tells you. It is what someone does for you. So the love President Hakainde Hichilema has for the country is what he is doing for the whole country. Not going to blow hot air on radio. Chishimba Kamwe. To allege that Tabamitemwa, one nephew watched, but Mama Minister 6 to attend the funeral of the late wife to His Royal Highness Chitimuku. And we put matters very clear. Just a few weeks ago, His Royal Highness Naluwama, Chief Naluwama, he, just after Monari Hills in Chikangata, was being put to rest and was represented by one minister, the Minister of Local Government, who has a charge over traditional leaders. Did you hear anybody, any political figurehead, storm media houses and say, no, how can this government disrespect you, the people of Southern Province, by sending only one minister? No, there was no one. Only a few days ago, His Royal Highness Chief Kalide of Northwestern Province was being put to rest. And one minister, the Minister of Local Government, represented President Hakainde Hichilema. Have you heard any political leader in this country stand up to say the people of Northwestern Province are being disrespected and disliked by this president and his government? The answer is no. So the times of speaking tribe as a wage, as a stimulus to get political favors are over. We urge those who want to remain relevant to the political arena of our country and to participate with integrity and decency to come to the table with ideas, with issues, not baseless proclamations and statements anchored on divisive approach. Remember, President Hakainde Hichilema has dedicated 2026 as a year to consolidate peace and national unity and reconciliation, so that on that platform we leverage national development. The president has made it very clear that whereas we have achieved this much, there is much more work to be done, and there will be no letting down. It's work after work after work. And so in this year of elections, citizens should not entertain empty tins who want to make statements to divide a country. Should not entertain media houses whose agenda has been their agenda to divide a nation so that they can find a wedge between the citizen, pitting brother against brother, sister against sister, Zambian against Zambian, for their self-calculated political aggrandizement. No, we shouldn't give them space. This far, the unity we have exhibited to ourselves has seen us grow our economy. Our local and international reputation is ever soaring high. That is what we need. Even those who are in the opposition, by the way, when they go out and identify to be Zambians and are asked about President Hichilema, they praise him there outside. When they come here, they want to pretend. No. This is what we had to share with the nation today, so that we are on the same page. And it's the first media engagement, and I'm fully aware that with Parliament in sight for dissolution, I don't know how many we shall have, but we shall have regular ones so that we compensate for the lost time that is about to come. So you should be on standby to be called at no notice at all, so that the nation is kept abreast and informed. And I urge the media, do not give coverage to someone making a statement that is unsubstantiated. You yourselves should take these people to account for what they say, because the media is a fourth estate. That is the only way we shall develop a country. Development of a country is not dependent on a president and his administration alone. It's a shared endeavor, each one being at their best to do that they are doing for country. If you are just putting headlines so that people can buy, like the mast is doing, no, that's unprofessional. But you know, we say these things because we want them to hear, so that they do the right things. Because unlike the previous administrations that would not speak this way, they'll go and close. Us, we are not going to close any media house. That's a directive from our President Hakainde Hichilema. We want the media to carry a platform for all citizens to participate and inform their decisions as we head into 2026. And I can now tell you that as party in government, we are very confident about 2026. But with 7 months before the elections, we cannot be conclusive about what will happen on the political arena, save to know that we are winning elections. But the time remaining is for President HH and his administration to focus on economic programs, so that we change the circumstances of our people. Elections will be won on the basis of performance. That's what we believe in. And we want to graduate the country into that level where, to be elected, you must be a leader who is taking the country to a better space and not retrogressive like Dununa reverse. I thank you, dear colleagues.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Colleagues, if there are any questions, I think the Minister is ready to take a few questions from you. Just tell us who you are and the media you represent. Yes, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Minister.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome back. To my able productive director, Mr. Simoe, I recognize you. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister, in reference to your presentation.
Which media house are you coming from?
My name is Mishek Mungeli Nirongo, Fako News.
Okay.
Honorable Minister, in your presentation on resolutions and recommendations from Cabinet, you highlighted about the National Conservation Heritage Commission, which among others has an objective to preserve our cultural heritage. That being the case, Honorable Minister, my question is, would you advocate for Zambia to bring back our artifacts, which were, for a lack of a better term, stolen, specifically talking about the broken human skull, which is now stationed in London Museum, generating income for the London Treasury. Whilst here, when we take our children to Lusaka Museum, just here, Honorable Minister, our children are subjected to an artificial broken human skull. So would you advocate for the country to bring back the broken human skull among other artifacts, so that we can use that one to preserve our cultural heritage as well as bring in revenue for our treasury? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Amita.
Honorable Minister,
You can speak loudly so that the mics are able to pick your question.
my name is Pekias Mutali from Zanis. Honorable, you did highlight or itemized a lot of developmental programs or projects aspects. But the opposition keeps on saying whatever the UPND administration says, we have done this, we have done that. Is the opposition then in power that did those projects? Your comment on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Another question? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Honorable. My name is Mweetwa from Nation FM. You were quoted in the media as talking about there will be a lot of Mingalato. I don't know whether that was artificial intelligence. Maybe you can just clarify on what you meant that being 2026 there will be a lot of Mingalato. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable.
Good afternoon.
I recognize you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Virginia. I work for Central Voice TV and for Pentagon. My question goes with your statement when you were addressing the issue of the previous by-elections that UPND won in Kasama. You mentioned one of the reasons why you won was that you had a good candidate as well as good campaign team on the ground. Now, I want to take you back to what happened in Choma. Does it mean that you didn't have a good campaign team on the ground as well as a big candidate? Thank you.
Is there any other questions? The Minister will take all of them at once, then we'll close. So if there are any questions, please. Any more questions? No, Minister, may take this.
Thank you very much for those questions. Ms. Sheikh, that's a very good question. But then, you put it in the right context to say, would I advocate for the return of Zambian artifacts or heritage that is lying outside the jurisdiction of this country. I'm here to read cabinet resolutions, not for me to begin to give personal views. So you're asking me for a personal view. I can't give a personal view when I'm here speaking for government, and I cannot impute my personal preference on a position which has to be ratified by cabinet. But when you read, because we are going to circulate this, you will see that we were saying somewhere that the current law is not sufficient to safeguard our heritage. So therein lies the opportunity to conserve, preserve, collect and put together that which belongs to Zambia. I think that is the spirit of the amendment of this particular law. But thank you for bringing that to the attention of the nation, because it has already been had in contemplation. And the amendment of the law is meant to enhance the preservation of Zambia's cultural and natural heritage. Zanis, opposition are saying the projects that we are talking about were done by them. Again, you go and ask them, did they do Ndola, Lusaka, Diokaejwe? Ask them. They will tell you that they had signed it at an exorbitant price, which is double the price it is now being constructed. They didn't do it. They had a lot of vested interests in those contracts, because those were their fields where they were making money dubiously, as evidenced by the reduced price of doing the same road. You remember that they were doing a toll gate for 4.3 million US dollars, a toll gate. So those are not people you can listen to. Their legacy is tainted with illegality, with mistrust, with corruption. Did they do the Ndola Sakanya Mufulira road, which we spoke about here, that the Tomutini Toll Plaza is now going to be operationalized? Did they do it? Those are the projects we are talking about. Did they do the Katete Chanida road, which we are talking about? They didn't do. A number of roads are under active construction now. We have the road from Mutanda Junction into Kaoma being tarred, so that the copper coming out and other minerals coming out of northwestern province should do a shortcut into Kaoma, Mongu, Sesheke, into various destinations, so that we preserve the state of our roads from the copper belt into Livingstone, and also decongest this corridor. We are talking about revamping the Tazara Railway, which is under active work now. Did they do that? So these are statements where I can say they are just blowing hot air. And it is up to you as journalists. These are examples I'm giving. You know them. Ask them, say, now that you are saying this, did you do this? We are talking about enhanced CDF from 1.6 million to more than 40 million now, and the sporadic construction sites of clinics, hospitals, schools, bridges. Did they do those? The only bridges we know is this here. The one at Munali Junction, and the one at Makeni Flyover Bridge. Those are the ones they left and strategically positioned. We thank them for that. But they could have done much more. Are they not the same people who are saying free education is not possible? Are they not the same people who are saying HH cannot return meal allowances to students? Are they not the same people who are saying that you can't pay former civil servants on time? Akafumya kuisenda na HH fetu alifiwa. Are they not the same people who are saying it's impossible to attain debt restructure because as we have failed? Now, how can they equate HH and his team to themselves? To say that them, when they fail, even HH would fail. When you look at the difference in the expertise and human resource endowment, these are serendipitous and hilarious propositions. So to equate that what we are doing when talking about is same as what PF left is a misnomer. Mingalato will be in high gear in 2026. And whether anyone likes it or not, Mingalato will be in high gear. And Mingalato has nothing to do with rigging elections. It has everything to do with a unique and never seen political strategy of winning elections easily. After all, there is no strong opposition. But Mingalato, as we draw near the elections, I'll start disclosing some elements of Mingalato, but not in full, because even in football, which coach gives a game plan of which they want to employ before the game? They will tell you after the game that our game plan was to attack them on the flanks or in the midfield and use, counter attacks because we saw that they are tired, they have no speed. That will only be disclosed after the game is over. Now, if you say we are going to use counter attacks, they will bring in certain measures to mitigate. So these Mingalatos are real. And they are beginning to yield results. The issue to do with campaign team in Chawama. Did we have a good campaign team? Yes. Remember I said in Kasama we had a good campaign team, a good candidate, and support of the people. Okay? But you've asked me, did you have a good campaign team and a good candidate in Chawama? I don't know the answer. Because I wasn't there in Chawama. Did you see me in Chawama? I was not there. So when the party will be holding a postmortem at the national management level soon to inquire into Chawama and also Kasama. Then I'll be privy to what could have been the real reason that led to that kind of outcome. For now, we respect the wishes of the people of Chawama and we accept we lost. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
Let's have this, we give them. Please tell the Master and the Daily Nation